Hello, my friends. Welcome to me, your host, Christian Watson. So, my friends, I'm sure many of you heard that a few days ago, right before Friday night on June 3rd, 2021, Andy Ngo, the renegade independent journalist, former Quillette editor, who is known for covering the violent and anti-truth, the sort of anti-freedom protests that happened from the black-clad Antifa activists all across the nation. Well, he was once again assaulted by a group of people professing to be Antifa. Right before Friday night, according to this New York Post article, Ngo was, according to this article, he was chased, attacked, and beaten by a masked mob. He has blood all over his face. He said that if he hadn't gotten to the hotel that he eventually got into, he would have died. It said that it seemed obvious that it intended to make good on hundreds of threats of the past years to kill me. And some of these injuries can be seen here on his bruises on his wrist, on his side, my lord, on his eye. He got, according to the article, one of the black-clad Antifa members tackled him, Mr. No, to the ground, punching his head repeatedly, while I pleaded for them not to kill me. So, when I first heard about this story, I couldn't help but see the replies across social media. People who are castigating Mr. No as simply a sower of disinformation. Indeed, Quillette did indeed fire him not too long ago, a few months to a year back, over allegedly him going to a patriot group's meeting and not covering the fact that they said they were going to do violence, but only covering the fact that they were going to go after Antifa. And so Mr. No has a reputation amongst many people as being a sower of disinformation, a sort of a grifter, if you would say, someone who is not in pursuit of truth, but in pursuit of a certain narrative, and therefore he shouldn't be trusted. I have a problem when we take certain things that we see as negative, don't justify why those things are bad, and then use them to invalidate the works of every single work that person has done thereafter. Personally, I think the aversion to Mr. No amongst a lot of people has to do with a false idea of journalism, and this idea that the journalist is going to be this objective, impartial being who can disseminate information perfectly. Well, the problem is, the word journalist captures a variety of relationships and values that go beyond the person that bears that title. Let me say that again to you guys, because sometimes I gotta repeat things, because things don't get into your head after a while. The word journalist represents a variety of relationships and values that transcend the label-bearing person. So Walter Cronkite was a journalist, but Walter Cronkite was on the dole of his network, and what his network wanted him to say, he would say. Barbara Walters is a journalist, but she was also on the dole of some very influential people in the context of a network that restricted the full extent of her expression. The reason why people are so threatened by No is because he is showing that he is a human being with biases who will pursue information in a way that makes his points. That's just what I am as well. However, if you use your biases to omit the truth in general, that's a bad thing. Now, No has not done that. No simply decided to focus his energy on Antifa in that instance, which is why I don't think that No is necessarily someone who fabricates stuff. In fact, if you look, the footage does not lie. If you have a bunch of black-clad people marching towards you, attacking you, burning buildings, that is not edited. That is clear reality. That is empirical evidence that one can use, if they're going to use their reason, to discern certain things. Now, if the problem is that these reporters set the context and the context can be misleading or whatever, simply go out and find the context. You can see a clip. Don't believe the clip until you actually see it. So many people actually blame No for their own intellectual failings, which is misguided. Andy Ngo, my friends, is nothing more than, as this article says, a truth teller, and I'll say something else, a pursuer of virtue in an era of darkness and mediocrity. So many network reporters refuse to go cover Antifa because A, people like Jeff Zucker, who runs CNN, he said this, literally wanted to focus on right-wing people and Donald Trump because that brings up ratings. It does not bring up the ratings of these network people to focus on what's actually going on amongst people who hold their ideology. This is why independent journalism is so powerful, because independent journalists are not necessarily bound to their audience. They can go out and they can find things and expose things which no one else will touch. And every great man throughout history who has stepped outside of the orthodoxy and has embraced those fiery passions of heterodoxy, like Mr. No, like my friend Jorge Ventura, who's also been attacked by the intelligentsia for doing his work, any person who's done that gets attacked because they are a threat to the enduring ideas. They are a shaker and a mover. But Mr. No's importance as a shaker and a mover is not the only reason why he should be appraised, in my opinion. Mr. No's importance goes far beyond that. Mr. No, as John Stuart Mill would say, preserves information for posterity so that everyone can get a sense of what is happening. Mill said in On Liberty, when you silence a single opinion, or if you only have someone who is of one opinion, you rob posterity from their ability to understand things, and that's true. It's the principle of conditioning. One person does something, and you can convince someone else to do something, and then someone else, and someone else, and someone else. And if you continue to do that, you can create a mindset in which what you convince that first person to do has become the general idea for everyone in that particular group. People like Andy Ngo disrupt that. In all honesty, even if you disagree with his tactics or his methods, you should understand that Andy Ngo and people like him are so important to the holistic formation of epistemology, of knowledge. For that reason, my friends, Andy Ngo is a hero. I may not agree with everything he's done. You may not agree with everything he's done. But guess what? Human beings are simply vessels for value. Human beings are simply vessels for a certain kind of idea. And those ideas oftentimes are incidental to their existence. Those ideas can stand independent, exist independent of human beings. We simply show them. We simply manifest them. And if the ideas that Mr. No manifests are virtuous and pure, then you have to give the man plaudits for that. It hurts my heart that he was attacked, but his significance is much more than simply uncovering what is hidden. His significance goes into the realm of making sure that knowledge, true knowledge, is perpetuated and preserved for posterity, and that they can take that to also ensure that their understanding of the world, their concept of the world, are not buried under minutia, are not buried under, whatever bias is there, but they're actually informed by fact. And the footage helps with that. And so, Andy Ngo should not be the only person you get information from. Andy Ngo should be one person who informs a broad range of other sources that you have. But that broad range of sources, you must test those sources. You must ask yourself, are those sources necessarily being honest with you? And if they're not being honest, in what way are they not being honest? Are they being selective? Is their selectivity going to kill the substance of their work? If so, why? If not, why? Ask yourselves these questions, challenge these people, but also understand that there's a virtue in these people. There's virtue in independent journalism. Whereas in network journalism, there may be virtue, but its capacity, the capacity for virtue, is restricted by network standards, donor standards, board of advisor standards, and a bunch of other things that may or may not be propitious for the pursuit of truth. Think on it. My friends, I love you. And if you love me, I want you to do a few things. I have a locals now. It'll be in the description down below and in the comments. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/officialcwatson. I have a PayPal, which is my email as well, officialcwatson@gmail.com. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video. Get this out to Mr. No if you can, because we want to make sure we support people who are doing the very hard work of epistemological righteousness and pursuing virtue while they're doing it. So my friends, I love you, and please stay pensive. Bye, guys. Love you.